So as you can see, this is a disaster. But to some people, this may be just fine. To me as a barber, this looks like a tragedy that needs saving. And I'm going to bless him with a ball fade using the cyborg trimmer and clipper, which I will be using the tight guard system from Gamma Plus and Stylecraft, which will help me execute this haircut flawlessly. So with that being said, this is some footage from a versus video that I posted some time ago, which was pretty much comparing different guard systems from multiple different brands. It's definitely informative, so go check that out for yourself. And I will also be using the Saber Precision in this video. Okay, y'all, so for those of you who are first-time viewers, you are, of course, tuned into the underground. My name is Mbaya, and I go by the Doctor. If you're not familiar with what I do, I go in depth with tools and, of course, hair cutting. Pretty much teaching you and putting you on to how I do grooming, because grooming is a process. It's not as easy as most people think. As you can see, my man hasn't seen me for some time. He's actually been gone for almost a year. Now, this does not look like a year's worth of hair, but he definitely possibly was going to somebody else, but he's been living on the other side of the state, going to school, of course. And with that being said, everybody's not trying to drive back to come and get a haircut from me, so it is what it is. But he's here now. He was in town and needed to get a blessing, so he obviously hasn't been getting a regular haircut. With that being said, it's due to the fact that it's hard and difficult to find good quality, consistent barbers. So if you paid attention, when I first started cutting his hair, I took it down by going against the grain. I used a 1.5 tight guard, and that is the blue tight guard that I was using, which is the Gamma version. And now I am using a 1, which is a Stylecraft tight guard. So they're the same measurements, y'all, just in case you're wondering. Stylecraft, Gamma Plus, same thing. But I just did the whole swap, mismatch color, just, you know, add a little flavor, why not, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. As you can see, I am going with the clipper lever all the way open, no guard. I'm starting to create my first guideline, which I'm just slightly digging into the fade, just pretty much setting up all of my guidelines is what I'm going to be doing. After this guideline is established, I'm going to close the clipper lever halfway and create a guideline right underneath the one I just created. Now, this is a way to keep it safe, y'all. It's a safety type of fading. So pretty much all I'm doing is working my way down as I create the guidelines, okay? Then I will work my way up as I start to blend them out. So now that the guidelines are pretty much established that I do need to blend, I'm going to lose the clipper and grab my cyborg trimmer and go ahead and establish the bald guideline right underneath that second guideline that I had created. After creating the half with the clipper lever all the way open, I created another guideline which was with the clipper lever closed halfway. Now I'm going to go right underneath that one and bald it out completely. So using the softer side of the blade, which is pretty much me placing the guide blade, the fixed blade, against the skin and allowing the cutter to bald out. So instead of flipping it over, most people like to go down or make the harsh straight line, just kind of put a harsh line in that. That is going to be difficult if you don't have the experience. In order for you to be able to remove that harsh line, you have to have that experience. So please keep this in mind. For you beginner barbers especially, I highly recommend that you go about it this way. Thank me later, because if you're putting that harsh line in it because of watching these different multiple videos of those experienced individuals that literally stab that harsh line into the fade by creating a bald guideline with the harsh side of the trimmer as if they were creating a lineup, you're struggling because of that. But anyway, as you can see, I am going into the blending and pretty much at this point, we just have to work with the lever, and I pretty much already established the guidelines that I needed to blend in, which have been set up really easy because on this specific clipper with the sideboard, I have 5 different click spaces with that lever. So by the fact that I had used the open all the way, then I closed it halfway, all I have to do is worry about those other spaces on the click lever that I didn't use. So I'm gonna close it just a little bit, barely closing it all the way completely, then blend it, if you know what I'm saying. And pretty much you have to be the judge when it comes to this, because the more you close the lever, the more hair you cut off. The less hair you want to cut, you pull away. So as you can see, I'm pulling it away because I'm going up into that fade, going right underneath that guideline that was created with the clipper lever being open all the way. Okay, so you gotta just pretty much connect the guidelines at this point, and I'm blending up, which I created the guidelines going down, but I'm going up as I blend now, and it's all in the corners too, y'all. It may not look like I'm using the corners, that's why I'm rocking back and forth a lot, and this is a way that you pretty much have to do in order to manipulate those blades to cut the hair properly. And all hair won't react the same to the blades, keep that in mind. But when it comes to this sideboard, nothing's a challenge, it's no problem. So make sure you are purchasing the correct tools, and when you do pick these tools, you have to make sure who you are using them on, it is ideal. Because if you're not using the proper tools, depending on who the client is and their texture, you're screwing yourself. You know, remember, you have multiple different tools for a reason. You are going to have moments where certain spaces are going to be hard to reach versus using, for example, the sideboard clipper. There's no problem, there's no challenge, right? But like, there will be times where if you have a different clipper that is equipped with a different set of blades, you will be definitely going through it, because this thing has a vapor blade. A vapor blade is amazing. Everybody should have a vapor blade. I always highly recommend the vapor blade for everyone. If you have a challenging time using that guide blade, which may just happen to be, let's say, a fade guide blade, you know, you're gonna have a hard time if you're not aware of how to use that flat blade compared to the vapor, which has both the fade and a taper blade mixed and fused together. It's an amazing combination. That is why I say what I say. I highly recommend this blade. Use this blade. If you don't have it, purchase it, throw it on one of your clippers, change your game, for real. Like, change your whole life. Seriously, make your life easier when it comes to what we do here. But as you can see, I am using the #1 guard to soften up this line, which I started off by doing the open fully technique, then I closed halfway, then I closed completely, then I'm going to pretty much improvise from there and use the spaces that I didn't use, because sometimes opening all the way, closing halfway, then closing completely doesn't always work. So you have to use those other spaces in between the lever clicks. So with that being said, as you can see, I'm going to follow through with the same process using the half. This is the half guard that I'm using now. I'm going in, clipper lever fully open. Then I'm going to, of course, work my way up slowly. And you can choose to click slowly using each click space, or you can just go from open to close halfway, then you close completely. It will work the same, but for some of us, the way we use these tools, for example, some people will put it out there on a video, or just your instructor will say it's all about the flicking of the wrists. That could be very misleading at times. Flicking the wrist is necessary, but not always. Sometimes it's just all about your hand motion with the forearm and how you use, making sure you're keeping that same motion. And what I'm doing right now, I don't recommend that you do that. That's just the way that I do it. It works for me. I'm trying to save you a headache, because when you're getting your technique down, there's going to be a lot of hurt in your wrists. And technically speaking, I have a bad wrist from playing ball back in the day. As in basketball, I thought I was out here being Kobe, and I played with some grown people that pretty much almost destroyed my wrists. And nowadays I gotta do stuff with a fist. For example, push-ups, I don't do with a flat hand anymore. It's impossible, otherwise I will strain my wrist. Now, don't get me wrong, this hand's still on point. You know what I'm saying? It's not a handicap. But, you know, it's just one of those things that I almost destroyed myself by playing basketball. And yeah, I highly recommend that y'all stay safe with your extracurricular activities. Don't be silly. You know, these are your money makers, y'all. Keep them healthy. And this is the reason why I always recommend people to work out and get yourself one of these hand grip exercisers. I'm gonna do a little pop-up right here if you see that. Get you one of these. This helps you flex and exercise your forearm as well as your wrists. It's an amazing feeling, y'all. Everybody needs one. But as you can see, I'm pretty much just doing detail work at this point. I have lost my guard completely. I'm just kind of making sure everything's smooth with the lever all the way fully open, and I will close where necessary. And like I said, my man's has stayed away for some time, so this fade looks a little bit rough. It's not that bad. It's actually nice and blurry. It's just, you have to keep your clients in the chair, keep their hair trained up, making sure that every fade, every cut that you do on them is flawless, because this is flowing, but there's a lot of detail that's required to be done here. And he could really use a shampoo, because whatever this buildup is, which I'm assuming is really just product from the shampoo that he used, possibly the conditioner. There's also a lot of the fellas don't really have a routine of how they go about cleaning or shampooing out their hair, or even just washing, because it's sometimes best for people to just go through with a 1 and, you know, like a 2-in-1 is what I'm trying to say, or a 3-in-1, you know, as in shampoo, body wash, conditioner. Now that's very childish. If you're a grown man, you need to have you a good routine for how you clean yourself up, how you wash up. Now, this is not me throwing jabs at anybody. I'm not even throwing jabs at my man. It's just some people get more buildup than the next, or he just may have a dry scalp. I'm not really sure what this situation is, but me being a barber, I know his hair is not dirty. It's just a poor shampoo job, or possibly he may have put something in his hair as a product just to keep his hair soft, which, as you can see, I never even combed through his hair to begin with at the beginning of this video. I just kind of went ahead and started cutting, because his hair didn't look bad. It didn't look crazy. It's, to an extent, managed. He's been doing some upkeep, which is awesome. So as you can see, also, the more I detail, the smoother this gets. The front part of his hairline has some corners that are a little bit lighter, and we all know what this means, but it just means he's got a little bit of lower density, and possibly it might be gone one day. Let's just be real. But hey, look, we working with it, because I'm about to bless my mans with the freshest line, and I'm about to take care of his mustache real quick, because that's all the facial hair he has to work with, and a little bit of a patch at the chin. He's kind of in the same situation as I am. You know, I am in my early 30s with no beard, and it's all good. It's all right. You know, we got to work with what we got, y'all. And I was supposed to take care of his mustache first to begin with. I never started with the mustache because we really were chopping it up. I haven't seen him in a while, and I was talking to him, this and that. So, you know, yeah, you know the deal. Got to keep those relationships strong, y'all. Talk to y'all people. But as you can see, I knocked the mustache down using the sideboard clipper, and now with the sideboard trimmer, I'm just gonna go ahead and line them up, starting from the lower lineup, which is closest to the lip. Then I will work my way up to the top line, which is closest to the nose, and making sure that everything is nice and symmetrical. I know I'm not really showing you this, but I didn't think it was that important because it's just a mustache. It's not like it's a beard. I feel like we are all very capable of lining up a mustache. Just know what tools to use for the facial hair. Now, my Cyborg trimmer is pretty much set to where it's ready to go. This thing came out of the box on point, and I know people have mentioned that theirs doesn't cut on point, which is crazy to me because you may just have to properly set it or, you know, zero gap it, which I don't really recommend because these things are really sharp. If you have the experience, go for it. You know, it's just something that you have to literally tap and you won't welt anybody's skin up. But this blade is ready to go. It executes everything flawlessly on point, and I haven't had an experience with this thing snugging on hair or tugging on it, pulling on anything. It's always cut smooth. So I've put this thing underneath the jawline on people's facial hair. I have put it all over the face, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's been doing an amazing job in my opinion. So I highly recommend for those of you who are looking for this machine, and if you've been watching videos, multiple videos, just seeing what's up, hey, get you one. I'm not sure if they're available for sale right now. They might be sold out and will be dropping again really soon. I can't say when because the Cyborg site, I believe, is sold out with these. You may be able to find them on, like, you know, other websites. Let's say Amazon will probably have them. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. You know, Prostyling Tools, you know, for example, or is it Prostyling Tools? I forget how to say that website's name, but they got them. Somebody's got them. You know, what is WB Supplies? You know, hit them up. You know, they got them. I'm sure they do. But I sprayed a little bit of water on top of his head first. Then I did a little bit of some alcohol or aftershave in the front line. Then I sprayed some level 3 hold on the front just to kind of get all of that hair in place. I'm sure he hasn't gotten the lineup in some time, and that hair needed a little bit of some training. And yeah, you know, we pretty much got him back a little bit clean. You know, I brushed all that mess away. As you can see in the background there at the very bottom, I have a bunch of brushes. So that brush, or those brushes and combs that I'm using on them, the guard systems, all that, I'm gonna wash all that out, clean it out, get it prepped for the next person, which I really don't have that issue at the end of the day because guess what? I wash everything and I have multiple guards for each individual is gonna get a fresh guard set. But as you can see, I am not using the Cyborg trimmer. I'm just showing y'all how this precision saber blade is set up on this saber, of course. And this thing is smacking, y'all. It's on point. You know, it's like I said before in the last video when I unboxed this thing, I mentioned that I would let this thing ride, let it run for as long as I can, just to see how much this thing is capable of without me attempting to zero gap it, because I like how it's cutting. It's a little bit of a fight, but not too much. Compared to the Cyborg doesn't take much to get rid of the hair that you have in your way, that you have to get lined up or removed. You know, that thing just boom, boom, smacking every time. That thing's a monster for real, like a mechanical beast, Joe. The Cyborg trimmer might be, like I've always said this since I did the review, top 5 trimmers of all time. Just as it is, how it's packaged, how it is delivered to you, that thing's ready to go. You know, how it's set up and ergonomically friendly, it's amazing to me, you know. But speaking of, I'm gonna of course follow through on this line with the Cyborg just to get anything that precision blade left behind, which is not a whole lot. I just know when it comes to that line, I'm all about it. And if you don't know by now, this is what I do. The lineup is my favorite part of the haircut. It is the most important part of the haircut. You can have a trash, weak fade, like I always say, but when it comes to the line, you will always win. If your haircut is not that great, of course, as in the fade, you know, the haircut lineup will always save it. But make sure you're doing good fades and blends, y'all. Like, don't be doing half jobs. Follow through. But as you can see, just doing some touch-up work, following after the saber. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, just making sure everything's symmetrical. We got to kind of bend his line. As you can see, like I said, it's a little bit of some reshaping or overcorrecting that we have to do here, because my man's possibly, it might be happening, but for as long as I've known him, it's always been this light. And some people are just born this way. They have a lighter lineup. It is okay. So yeah, as you can see, this thing is doing its job. It's doing its thing. You know, it's definitely on point. Getting those lines in there perfectly. But I'm going to do the same thing on this side with the sideboard. I will follow through and make sure that I create a really clean line for him, because I don't want nothing left behind. This is my part where I shine. The lineup is my favorite part. I'm not a huge fan of the enhancements, as I always say. I'm not an enhancements hater. I do use those and apply them to those individuals that request them. And if that sounds repetitive, for those of you who are probably questioning if I can even use enhancements, yo, if you want to see me use enhancements in videos, which I don't really post them because of the shade that you get, to be honest, it defeats the whole purpose of the art that you produce as a barber. I know that sounds epic to some people to hear, but like I said, I'm not a hater of enhancements. If people want them, I'm going to use them on them. So leave a comment if you want to see me do more videos that have people using enhancements or wanting enhancements. Leave a comment, let me know. I will post them. How do you apply? Ask me questions. How do you do this? How do you mix it? I got you covered and all that, you know? It's no problem. I just choose not to, because guess what? This is my channel. I'm going to show you what I want to show you. And if you want me to show you something else, all you got to do is request it. Ask, leave a comment, let me know what's up. I got y'all. It's no problem. I'm not a know-it-all, but I know enough that I am willing to share and explain to you the best way that I can articulate, because I am not one of those individuals that's going to be giving you a bunch of verbatim by the book lingo. It's not my thing. I don't do that. All right, I'm gonna give you this business here from a regular person's perspective. I'm gonna give it to you how you're supposed to hear it, you know, not complicated with all these scientific terminologies and mechanical this and that. Who has time for that? I mean, I'm sure some of you love that, but we just want to know how to do stuff, right? We just want to know how to get to that end result, right? Does the trimmer, does the clipper work? Does it do the job? How do you got it that sharp? What did you do? Yeah, it's that simple. It's not that complicated. We're just cutting hair. Now, don't get me wrong. This is beyond just cutting hair, because of the simple fact that you are in charge of an individual's hair, and perception is crazy when people view your haircut, and if it looks bad, it looks bad. So that's going to define how well a person's day, week, or month goes, because you don't want to be giving out bad haircuts. But anyway, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative for some of you who were looking for information. I hope I was helpful in any way. Leave a comment, share this video to anybody that you know that may find this helpful, informative in any way. Follow me on my different platforms. Subscribe to this channel, and I am out. I will catch y'all on the next one.